Welcome to The Explainer. We're about to dive into something pretty wild, the invisible, complex world that's buzzing just beneath the surface of the words you and I use every single day.
Think about that. It happened in a blink of an eye. You didn't even have to think about it. No instruction manual, nothing. It just happened.
But have you ever really stopped to wonder how? I mean, really, how does your brain take these little squiggles on a screen and turn them into meaning, into ideas? It's kind of nuts when you think about it. So, yeah, let's dive in.
Okay, so we're going to start our journey at the tiniest scale imaginable, with just one single word and the absolutely mind-boggling speed that our brains recognize it.
So here's the thing. Before you can even begin to understand a word, you've got to find it. Where? In what's called your mental lexicon. You can just picture it as this massive internal dictionary inside your head, just humming with information. And the whole process of finding that word, what psycholinguists call lexical access, it happens in like milliseconds. It's crazy fast. Which leads to the big question, right? How on earth does your brain search through this massive library, tens of thousands of words, almost instantly? I mean, how? Well, researchers have proposed a couple of major models to try and explain this incredible feat. Okay, so you've got two main camps here. On one side, you've got what are called direct access models. The idea is pretty simple. When you see or hear a word, it's like a signal that directly flips a switch for that specific word in your brain. Click, done. Then on the other side, you have search models. These suggest it's more like your brain is actively running a search query, like a super fast Google search, through these really well-organized mental files to find a match. So let's look at a classic example of a direct access model. This is Morton's logogen model. It's a cool idea. Just imagine that every single word you know has its own little detector, a logogen. And as you see or hear a word, evidence starts pouring in, the letters, the sounds, and this little detector's counter starts ticking up. And then bam! Once it hits a certain threshold, it fires. And that right there is the moment you recognize the word. Okay, now let's flip to the other side of the coin. This is Forster's search model. The process here is totally different. It's much more like an old-school library card catalog. Your brain first zips through these access files. They're organized by how a word is spelled or how it sounds. And once it finds the right card, so to speak, that card points to the master file, which has all the juicy details. You know, the word's meaning. All right, recognizing a single word is one thing, but what's really wild is how our brain takes all these individual words and starts building with them, assembling them into complex ideas. Because, you know, a sentence isn't just a jumble of words. There's a hidden architecture to it. Just take a look at this sentence. The yigs were vumly rixing hum in jigest miv. Okay, obviously the words are total nonsense, but something about it still feels kind of structured, right? It feels like it could be a sentence. It's almost like you're seeing the ghost of a real sentence.
Okay, now look at this one. I took the exact same nonsense words and just threw them in a blender. This is just a word salad. It's pure chaos. Your brain just looks at it and goes, nope, I got nothing.
So why? Why does that first one feel almost right, while the second one is just a mess? Well, the answer is in that invisible architecture I mentioned. It's called syntax, and it's something you use perfectly every single day without even being aware of it. This idea was really pioneered by the legendary linguist Noam Chomsky. He proposed that we're basically born with a kind of universal grammar. It's like an innate set of rules for how you can snap words together to make phrases, and then snap those phrases together to make sentences. So your brain isn't just seeing a string of words. It's constantly automatically looking for that deep hidden structure. And this image here, it shows that hidden structure perfectly. When you read a sentence like, the boy met the little girl, you don't just see 7 separate words in a row. No way. Your brain, in a flash, groups them into these meaningful chunks. The boy becomes a unit, a noun phrase. Met the little girl becomes another unit, a verb phrase. And this all happens without you even trying, all thanks to that secret grammar hardwired into your brain. Okay, so up to this point, we've kind of been looking at the brain as this incredible, super sophisticated computer that follows all these rules. But what if language is more than just code? What if it's actually a window, a direct line, into the deepest, most hidden parts of who we are? It's pretty amazing when you think about it. The two absolute giants of depth psychology, Freud and Jung, they both started their careers by studying language. Freud, for example, looked at speech disorders and realized, hey, this isn't just a wire being crossed in the brain. He saw it as pointing to deeper psychic processes. And then you have Jung, who used these simple word association tests and found that the little delays, the weird answers, they were actually revealing these hidden, emotionally charged complexes buried in the unconscious.
And here's the kicker. Jung noticed something really specific. When our conscious focus kind of drops, when we get tired or distracted, our word associations change. They stop being about what words mean and start being about what they sound like. You get puns, rhymes, slips of the tongue, and for Jung, that was it. That was the unconscious bubbling up to the surface and saying hello.
All right, let's zoom out even further now for our last big idea. We've talked about how our brains process language, but what if we've got it all backward? What if language doesn't just describe the reality we live in? What if it actually creates it? To get our heads around this, let's use an analogy. Picture your mind as a movie theater. Now, for centuries, you had thinkers like Plato who basically said the movie you're watching on the screen is just a shadow, a poor copy of the real world happening outside. But then along comes someone like Immanuel Kant, who proposes this really radical idea. He says, no, the projector itself, your mind, your imagination, is what's creating the movie. And you can't get outside the theater. The movie is your reality.
But wait, it gets even wilder. The archetypal psychologist James Hillman took this idea and ran with it. He said, forget being the audience and forget being the projectionist. According to him, we are actually characters in the movie. And language? Language is the script. We are being spoken by the movie's own internal logic, following a script we never even wrote.
So you can see where this is going. It leads us to a final, really profound, and honestly kind of unsettling thought about who or what is really in control when we open our mouths to speak. Hillman had this idea he called the angelology of words. He said we should stop treating words like they're just tools that we use. Instead, he said, we should treat them like they are living, independent psychic agents, like angels or demons that have power over us. He argued that these words visit us, they possess us, they shape our thoughts, and in the end, they actually make our soul. So, it leaves us with this final question. Are we speaking language, or is language speaking us? The next time you say something, just remember all of this. Remember the hidden machinery of recognition, the secret grammar building your sentences, and maybe, just maybe, the reality shaping power at play. What you say might be revealing a whole lot more than you think.